Hi, welcome to my video on the subtraction of rational numbers. Subtraction of rational numbers. Opposite of a rational number. A number with an opposite numerator and the same denominator is said to be opposite of each other. An example, a rational number. 1 over 2, its opposite is a negative 1 over 2. Opposite of a negative 4 over 7 is 4 over 7. Notice you're changing your numerator, not your denominator. It's only the numerator that you have to change. 3 over 8, negative 3 over 8. 6 is understood to be over 1, so the opposite is 6 over 1 or 6. Negative 5 over 9, opposite is 5 over 9. Practice. Pause the video, work out the opposites of each of these, and then play the video. Here we go. 6 over 11. Positive 6, it's a negative 6 to positive 6. 3, same as 3 over 1, so it's a negative 3 over 1. 4 over 13, the same as negative 4 over 13 when you do the opposite. Negative 2 over 5, the opposite is 2 over 5. And 12 over 7, the opposite is negative 12 over 7. So you change the sign of the numerator and you keep your denominator. Another way to define the opposite of a rational number is the sum of the rational number and its opposite is 0. So let's do some examples. The rational number is 3/4. Its opposite is 3 over 4. So if you add negative 3 over 4 and 3 over 4, when you add, you have a common denominator of 4. Add up the numerators, you get 0. So 0 over 4 is 0. 6 over 11, the opposite is negative 6 over 11. So 6 over 11 plus negative 6 over 11 gives you, keep your denominator of 11, that's common, and add, you get a 0, and 0 over 11 is 0. Negative 7, opposite is 7. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0. The opposite of negative 8 over 9 is 8 over 9. So you get a negative 8 over 9 plus 8 over 9. And you add your numerators, you get 0. Keep your denominators, 0 over 9 is 0. 5 over 6, opposite is negative 5 over 6. And when you add 5 over 6, add on negative 5 over 6, you add your numerators, you get 0. Keep your denominator of 6, so 0 over 6 is 0. So practice. Pause your video and work out these to see if you're going to get them right. When you're finished, press play to see if you're okay. Opposite of negative 2/3 is 2/3. Negative 2/3, add on 2/3 is negative 2 plus 2 is 0 over your 3, which is 0. Opposite of 6 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus negative 6 is a 0. Opposite of a negative 1/5 is 1/5. Negative 1 over 5, add on 1 over 5, which is its opposite. Add negative 1 and 1, you get a 0 over your denominator of 5. 0 over 5 is 0. 11 over 8, negative 11 over 8 is opposite. 11 over 8, add on negative 11 over 8, and you have 0 over 8, which is 0. Opposite of a negative 7 over 10 is 7 over 10. Negative 7 over 10 plus 7 over 10. Add, you get a 0 on the top and 10 on the bottom because you keep your denominator, add your numerators. 0 over 10 is 0. So opposites is to change the sign, or you also say that when you have a number and its opposite, it adds up to 0. When subtracting a rational number, the opposite is added. So you heard me say when you're subtracting any number, you always add on the opposite. So you change the subtraction sign to an addition sign and change the sign of the rational number in the bracket. So Notice, add on is opposite. So if you're subtracting a positive 1/3, so you add on a negative 1/3. So when you're subtracting, you add on the opposite. B, when you're subtracting, you add on the opposite, which is positive 1/3. You're subtracting, you add on the opposite, negative 4/5. You're subtracting, so you add on positive 4/5. And you're subtracting, so you add on positive 7/10. So when you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is a negative 6/11. Practice. See if you get these right. Pause your video, and when you're finished, play it back. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is 6/7. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is negative 1/2. When you subtract, you add on the opposite of a positive 8 is negative 8/9. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is 4/15. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is 2/11. Positive if you want. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is 10/17. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is a negative 1/4. When you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is a positive 11/20. But also notice, as you heard me say, a double negative is a positive. Notice you have a double negative. It's positive. Double negative is positive. Double negative, you get a positive. Double negative, you have positive. Beware of that. When you're subtracting numbers, you add on the opposite. Obey that all the time. So, here we go. When subtracting rational numbers, add on the opposite and then follow the addition rules for rational numbers. So when you're subtracting 7/11, add on a positive 1/11. And 7 and 1 makes 8 when you add over the common denominator. When you're subtracting, you add on negative 2/9. So you add negative 4 and negative 2 is negative 6/9. And notice 3 goes into both of these numbers. 3 into negative 6 is negative 2. 3 into 9 is 3. The GCF is 3. So you divide both sides by 3. So when you subtract, you add on the opposite, which is 4/9. And notice now, you don't have any common denominators. So you have to find it. So 6 and 9, the common denominator is 18. So you multiply the 9 by 2/2, and you multiply the 6 by 3/3, because your common denominator is 18. So that gives you negative 15/18. Add on 6/18. Again, 6 is made up of a 2 and a 3. And 9 is made up of 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. So your LCD, which is your least common denominator, is also your least common multiple. So you write down each factor of 2 and a 3. 2's and 3's are factors, and you pick the largest exponent of each. So 3 squared and 3 squared. That's 9 times 2 is 18. And I just showed you how to get the LCD. Then you multiply by 2/2 and 3/3, etc. Keep your denominator of 18 and add up. Negative 15 and 6 is 9, and it's negative. And notice the GCF is 9, so divide by 9, you get a negative 1 and a 2. D. Notice that you have a mixed numeral. So if you change a mixed numeral to an improper fraction, 2 times 4 plus 1 is 9/4. Subtract 7/. So you change your mixed numeral first. And now, so what you can do, when you subtract, you can add on the opposite if you want. You can do that next. That's done. Now your common denominator for 10 and 4 is 20. So you multiply 10 by 2 over 2. You multiply the 4 by 5 over 5. That gives you negative 45 over 20. Multiply negative 9 times 5. 4 times 5. Add on. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14 over 20. 10 times 2. Common denominator is 20, so write that down. And you add these up and you get negative 59. That's an improper fraction. If you want, you change it. 20 goes into 59 twice, 19 left over. And it's negative. And just in case, you can 4 is 2 times 2, which is 2 squared. 10 is 2 times 5. So what happens? You need each factor, you factor of 2 and a factor of 5. The largest exponent of 2 is 2. The largest exponent of 5 is only 1 5, so it's just 5. 4 times 5. That's how you get your LCD by doing the prime factorization. Or you can just eyeball it and say, what number will 4 and 10 divide into? It's 20. 20 is a multiple. And we'll work these out. We got to get an LCD. So 12 is 3 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. So that's 3 times 2 squared. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. So that's 2 cubed. So the LCD is, again, like a least common multiple, same thing. You need a 2 and you need a 3. That's the two factors. The powers of 2 are 2 and 3. So I need the highest one, 3. There's only one 3. So that's 8 times 3 is 24. So that means 8 and 24 goes 3. So you need a 3 on the top also. 12 and 24 goes 2. So I need a 2 on the top. Now make equivalent fractions. You have 10 over 24. Subtract 21 over 24. And because I'm subtracting, I like to add on my opposite. So the opposite of 21 over 24 is negative 21 over 24. Have a common denominator of 24, and you subtract, you get 11 negative. And it's 11 is prime, so you can't reduce it. F negative, let's see, we have mixed numerals, so we make that 1 times 20 plus 1 is 21 over 20. And double negative, oh, I want to change that right now, I can too. Double negative becomes a positive. That's the same as adding on the opposite. Now, a common denominator for 20 and 15, well, let's work it out. 20 is 5 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. So that's 2 times 5, and it's 2 squared. We have to work out 15. 15 is 3 times 5. 15 is a 3 and a 5. So that's a 3 and a 5. So I don't need to write that down again. So I write down the factors of 2 has a factor of 3 and has a factor of 5. The largest power of 2 is 2, only one of them, and there's a 3, 1, and the largest power exponent of 5 is 1, so that's 4 times 15, so 60 is my LCD. And 60, I multiply 15, 15 into 60 goes 4, and I need 4 on the top. 20 into 60 goes 3, so I need a 3 on the top. And multiply, I get a negative 63, negative 21 times 3. 3 times 20 times 3 is 60. Add on. 15 times 4 is 60. 2 times 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Common denominator is 60. And I add, I get a negative 55. Negative 63 add on 8 is, the difference is 55, but there's more negatives. And you can see that it has a 5 and a 0, so 5 is the greatest common factor of the two of these. 5 into 55 goes 11. 5 into 60 goes 12. So that's a negative 11 over 12. So, if you want, pause your video and work the 4 of these out. And then when you play it back, you see if your answers are right. Here we go. I see a common denominator, but I'm going to add on my opposite. Add on a 1. Now I could make that a plus 1 or just a 1. Double negative is a positive, so the two negatives can become positives like that if you want. And the common denominator is 9, 5 and 1 is 6, 3 into 6 goes 2, 3 into 9 goes 3 when you reduce it. And we have a subtraction, so when we subtract, we add on the opposite. And a common denominator, 25 is 5 times 5, which is 5 squared. 10 is 2 times 5. So we need each one of each factor, so I have a factor of 2 and a factor of 5. 2 has only one 2. I got a 5 to the 1 and a 5 squared. I have to take the 5 squared. 2 times 25, common denominator for 25 and 10 is 50. Why? Because 50 is a multiple of both of them. So 10 into 50 goes 5. So 5 is on the top also. 25 into 50 goes 2. So 2 and 2 on the top. Multiply, negative 18. Negative 9 times 2. 25 times 2, 50. Add on. Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. And 5 times 10 is 50. Common denominator is 50. Write it down. And add those up. I got a negative 53. When you add two negatives, you add them up and take a negative. Now, 50 goes into 53 once, and there's 3 left over. And it's negative. So the answer is negative 1 and 3 over 50. Number 3, we need a common denominator. But let's get rid of the mixed numerals first. And let's get rid of the double negative. So I can do the double negative by doing that. Okay, 6 eighths are 48. So I have 48, that's 52. Negative. Add on. 4 12s are 48. I get a 48 and 3 is 50, 48, add on 5 is 53 over 12. Now, how about, so if you can see that 24 is it, but if you can't, 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So 8 becomes 2 cubed. 12 becomes 3 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So that's 2 squared times 3. We need one factor of each, 2 and a 3. We have to take the largest exponent of 2, which is 3. 3 is only 1 3 there. 8 times 3, 24. That means 12 into 24 goes 2, so we multiply by 2 over 2. 8 into 24 goes 3, so we need 3 over 3. That gives us 156 over 24 plus, and that gives us 106 over 24. And 24 is a common denominator. Add these up. When I subtract them, I get a 50, but it's a minus. And 24 goes into 50 twice. That gives me 48 and 2 over 24, but it's negative. And that gives me negative 2. 2 into 2 goes once. 2 into 24 goes 12. And the last one, a double negative. Let's make it a positive. Good. Double negative is a positive. Now we got a 4 and we're subtracting, so let's add on the opposite. We can do that right away if we want. And let's break this down. Ooh, 40 is 5 times 8. And 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So that's 2 cubed times 5. 24 is 3 times 8. And 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So that's 2 cubed times 3. 2 times 2 times 2 is 2 cubed and 3. I need a 2, I need a 3, and I need a 5. I need one of each factors. The highest power of 2 is a 3 and a 3. So I take the highest as 3. Only 1, 3, 1, 5. So that's 8 times 15, 120. That means I got to multiply 120, 24 and 120 goes 5 times. So I need a 5. 40 and 120 goes 3, so I need a 3 over 3. Multiply 3 by 9, I get a 27 over 120. Negative 5 times 5 is a negative 25. 24 times 5 is 120. Notice this one's way more work. Would you be able to get 120 for the LCD? The prime factorization method that I showed you in earlier videos always works. Common denominator is 120, and 27 subtract 25 is a 2, and it's positive, and 2 and 2 goes once, 2 and 120 goes 60. So the answer is 1 over 60. And that takes us to the end of the subtraction. Remember, when subtracting, always add on the opposite. That's very important. If you like my video, click on the like sign, the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and write a comment on my video if you wish. And you may visit my math website at www.mathfullyexplained.com. There I have information about me, and this section on me has the number of degrees and the teaching experience. In the section on videos, it tells you about the teaching strategy you're going to use to help you learn. And the section on content has the topics or the units that I'm going to have online, plus the number of videos on each topic, plus the black font is what's there already online, and the red font is what I will have there in the future. It's going to take a while for me to write it up. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.